Uh, we are going today to talk about Roma literature in Europe. First, in the beginning, I would like to ask how, because you remember that Roma literature was a long time, I think almost until 20th century, oral, oral, uh, oral culture, and they were passing it on the generation. The language was passed on the generations without any institutional the covering or some any institutions or something like religion. In the 20th century, they are appearing the 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 sources, the something which we can say is Roman literature uh, in the 20th century. But Roman people in Europe were almost already earlier, and also uh, they are also captured, or you can find them like some you can find like some like the motifs uh, or some characteristics in the literature of the non-Roma people, which was written by the writers uh, of non-Roma people. And for example, you can see here, like for example, uh, in, uh, in the Miguel de Cervantes y Saavedra, uh, like there you already can find some mentions about Roma, or if you know the Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo, Esmeralda, who is described there like a gypsy Esmeralda, or for example in the Czech, the literature was like the Karel Hynek Mácha. He wrote like the poems and pardon, he wrote uh, um, his work, which was entitled like the Tsikani, and the Tsikani means in Czech language like gypsy. It's very hard to translate like gypsy, but it is, you already know that it is like this another appellation which is mostly in Eastern Europe. And for example, you can find also very little a smaller passage in the Alchemist by by Paul Coelho when Santiago is is having a dream and he is going to Roma Witch who 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 will forecast his future. And for example, I remember that it a bit disappointed me because he really wrote there that uh, like the gypsies are really stupid people, and it's really casting, this like this shadow or this light on Roma, uh, and it's really supporting all the stereotypes. And because I know that there are much more, and you are coming also from like the different like the backgrounds. And I am coming back to the to the definition which I'm using from last session, which was applied to the Czech the like to the Czech and the Slovak Roma. So I think that it is also similar in Europe, that you can have. I'm having here like the fiction written by Roma people, yes, and it can be also written also in the languages of non-Roma language by Roma people, because as you know, as we were doing history, you remember that, for example, in Spain, in Portugal, in the UK, in Hungary, there are Roma people who don't speak already the language, and 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 their mother tongue is like the language of the state in which they are living. Or also some authors are writing uh, also also they are not here is they are having Roma topics, but there are also authors who don't have the Roma topic. Yes, we will go the further, and I prepared like two examples of the poetry and some like the prose authors, and here is very important like to mention Bronislawa Weiss, the Papusha. But like the Papusha in Romanes means like a doll, and it was her nickname. And Bronislava Weiss, she was coming uh, uh, from the Roma group in Poland, and her most known like the work is is uh, is uh, mm, is Ratvaliasva, and Ratvaliasva means like the bloody like the bloody tears, and because it is, I have here like the translation into the Polish language, and it is not also like the dialect of mine because there are some like the words which I might do not understand well. The krwawe łzy, which is like the bloody tears. Co za Niemców, no przeszliśmy, a na Woleniu 43 i 44 roku. It means like when during the rule of the Germans, we went to the region of the Walling during during the year the 43 and 44, and she is starting. Oh, you my good people or human beings. Nie chcę się niezlichcie wspomnieć. I don't want to remember all the times because my heart is hurting, and it wants quickly to cry. So what I have to do, uh, it it's needed like to sing, uh, like like the four, like the bad people who want wars, so, so that they know well about this. Oh God, I don't give to anybody to live in the war, in the in, in the in the poverty or suffering, and and the bloody and the bloody tear. What has gone the true like the suffering heart of uh, of of a Jewish child with the gypsy children, gypsy woman, or you sing, pardon, or you song the song you said, or you said the song as a earth, as the earth without the sun. It is like so hard on the in the world when it's happening the war. A na ludziach za calo drży, Sure, sure, sure. It means like the body on the people is shaking. I, I srdce pláče to krvavými slzami. And the hair is shedding and the hair is shedding the bloody tears. Nobody knows where is his family, and it is so. So this is my like the poor the translation of this poem. I really apologize that I didn't. Maybe it would be better if I prepared it also written in English. And this is are like these are like the poems which are continuing. And I think if you know already this, you will be able to find it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure whether this is translated into English. I hope you will find maybe the English version because I didn't manage it. And this is the Bronislava Weiss Papusha, who was a Roma woman, and writing for her at all wasn't at all easy because she was really suffering in the community. She was really uh, this she was for this condemned by the community who was afraid that because the people because those Roma didn't want to give information to non-Roma people because they were afraid after the Second World War that they could misuse it. And also, as you know, when we are speaking about the position of the Roma women, so it is really, uh, or we can be really grateful that these Roma women either Bronislava Weiss Papusha or later, in Germany, uh, Philomena France, I will mention her, or Chair Stoica in Austria, who are writing, or Elena Laskova, about whom I was speaking in last the session. So this is like really known, like the poem in among the educated Roma people who know the Roma literature, and also very known is Bicaresco Bile Moresco, which wrote Rajko Đurić. Rajko Đurić was a Roma man who was living in Belgrade in Serbia, and he was Roma. He was a Roma he was like a politician, member of parliament in Serbia. He was also the sociologist and philosopher, and he during the regime of the Milosevic, he was evicted. He had to go to exile. Uh, for more than like the 20 years, like to Germany, and he wrote this also poem, which is also very known. Uh, Unfortunately, last month he died, and I am going to share with you his like the poem. Bicaresco Belimoresco. It means without home and without the grave. Or you you take me everything. Oh, you my beloved, your father. You are without the grave, and we are, and we are, and we are, and we are, and we are without home. Daar is de Babelake. Uh, uh, Now we can be at the mercy of the wind that can like the blow on us, and we can be like to this like the uh, uh, like like to this like to this word as 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 like the uh, as like the rubbish or something like this, and he is asking like the kaimai, which is like where shall we go, uh, like like to where, or you my beloved, you my beloved, like the sweet mom, uh, on you is like the sotong, and on which I am calling, and uh, is this is like the closing you, and 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 uh, uh, like the earth is empty, and there is not like there is like nothing, like to where should I go? No, so this is like the really he's reflecting his experience, because I think it's also like the remember of the Second World War. If I'm not if I am not misunderstanding, but we really can see here on these two examples. I'm really sorry for my translation, because this is also it's not really easy for me like to translate it, because it are different like dialects which I never studied, but I understand it, but it is harder to like to find the words and also to translate into English. But anyhow, anyway, this is you can see that these authors are really going to like to describe like their emotions, like their feelings, like their worries, how they had like the misery, like the misery, the position, and all that they were like they're going through, the suffering. There are like the more authors, and here I am going like to share with you. Also, I'm sorry, I'm having here Romové píšící v Evropě, which should be in English, Roma writing in Europe. And here are some authors I really couldn't like to take more of them, because there are like in almost in every country. Yes, Oksana Bischin is like descending. Yes, Oksana Marafiotti is amazing. I still haven't had the time to read her last book, but I recommend you, because it was also translated into the Czech language, and it was very successful in Czechia. And here are some authors you can see here. For example, the for example, Philomena Franz, who is like a Sinti, and she's from Germany, and she wrote in German language like the zwischen Liebe und Hass. Einzige in Leben, which means like the between love and hate, uh, uh, Roma life, or mijn her Lakatos, like from Hungary. He wrote, his book was also translated into English, which is in English like The Color of Smoke. Or here I'm showing like two books of Chaya Stoika. No, Chaya Stoika was Roma women coming from the Lovari Roma group, and she was Roma from Austria, and she wrote the two books. One book was translated into English, even that is Afraid of Auschwitz, where she was really working with the topic because her family uh, they were in Auschwitz-Birkenau. And also the second book is Wir leben in Verborgenen, Erinnerungen einer Romzigeunerin, which means in English like we live in the uh, in the shadow. It are like the memoir or remembering of Roma woman, and it is also very known. Or for example, in Sweden, the Katarina Taikon, she already passed away also, unfortunately, but she was very known like a human rights fighter for Roma in Sweden. The sometimes she's compared like Martin Luther, and she wrote the book the Katitzi, which is about Roma girl, which was in orphanage, and this was really also translated in several languages. And in Sweden, I'm not sure, but I think uh, 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 it was like this book became like the motive of the series. If you were in Vienna, do you know that in Vienna there is also like the name, like the square after her, like the like the Platz. This is very unique because like like the places uh, which are which are named according to Roma are in Europe are very few. So this is like uh, one such interesting thing which I wanted to add, and here also is the Matteo Maximov. Matteo Maximov is also very great writer. He was great writer who was coming. His father was Russian Roman Calderas, and his mom was like the Spanish Roma. No, no, no. I apologize. She was Manouche, like uh, uh, like the Manouche are a similar group of Roma, like in Germany and Austria, the same thing. And Manouche are very popular with their like with their jazz. If you remember or if you know Django Reinhardt, so Django Reinhardt was his cousin. He who was amazing, the guitarist. We will speak about him when we will have the music. And Matteo Maximov was also evangelical pastor, and he was a writer. He wrote several books, which were translated into 15 languages. And Matteo Maximov was also a human rights activist. He participated the first World Roma Congress. He represented Roma in France. And like the most known, his book is The Ursitors, which is like the Ursitors are, according to Caldera's Roma, like the tradition, like the tree, like the like like the like the faith, the uh, the characteristic who are coming when the child is born, and they are like the three sisters. Two are wishing like the good things, and the one is harming people. So it's very nice, like novel, which is situated like the epic is like the situated. It, it is not sure in which historic epoch, but here is very interesting how he is describing these old Roma traditions and the laws among Kaldera's people. And here you will read there uh, like what means if you break like the law of the community. So this is like the Matteo Maximo, and also another one is Veijo Balzar, who is Roma from Finland. He's also a very successful author. His books are published in mainstream, and nowadays, like his new book, or he has already like the newer book, but this is also very popular, is Puro, which means like old man, and you can find it also. Or here also Damian Leba. Damian Leba is a son of a great of a great visual art uh, of Damian Leba, artist who already passed away unfortunately. But the Damian Leba the younger, who is alive, about whom I am speaking now, is author the is author from the United the Kingdom, and he belongs to the group of the Romanicals, which are known in England also like the Travelers. And he wrote a book, The Stopping Places: A Journey to the Gypsy Britain. He's writing here the stories, and also you can you can discover history of the traveler community. And the last one isn't European author, but still she's touching also Europe and also the Caucasus. Is Oksana Marafiotti, who was born in Russia, and she has roots. Her family are Armenian, Greek, and also Russian, and also Roma. And she's describing in her book American Gypsy, which is like a memoir, where she's describing her time when she was growing up in the U.S. when she was growing up as an American, uh, and uh, and I really recommend you to read it, and I hope I will also find the time like to read. In fact, I had this book, but I dedicated it like to my friend, and I have to purchase this book again. So uh, this is like Roma literature. How I try to uh, uh, I like to pass on you. There are much more authors about which I'm sorry that I cannot mention here. Like for example, here is also a very new book. I am going to write it into the chat. Uh, my name is Hussein, by Christo Kuchukov. uh, you can find in the chat. It came now to my mind. It is also like the book, also like a bit like the biographical. Christo Kuchukov is Roma, Bulgarian Roma, or he's a Turkish Roma living in Bulgaria. He's he is belonging like to Roma who are Muslims in Bulgaria, and he's living. He is like the professor of Romanist studies. He works a lot with Roman language, and also with the Turkish. He's like the psycholinguist, and this book is about him and Roma and Bulgaria, uh, which is in which you can find like like the Roma in Bulgaria during the 20th century, when when the communists started in Bulgaria, they were assimilating like the Turkish, so they have to change the surname, they had to they had to change the language and everything. And Roma were also Roma who were speaking Turkish. They also had to go. They were also stigmatized, not only like the Roma, like the Tsigans in Bulgaria, but also like 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 Turkish speakers and Muslims. So uh, you can really in these works uh, like define how the Roma are perceiving like themselves, the Persa, and how they see it. Because as you remember in the beginning, I was mentioning the Paulo Coelho or these authors like Victor Hugo, it, which are depicting Roma in a romantic way, like with the witchcraft and this. So you have here also like Roma authors like themselves, how they describe themselves, how they feel themselves, and how they see like themselves in frame the communities and like Roma in the society. So I think if you go on YouTube, on Google, or because there is very problematic that when you have Roma literature is also written in the non-Roma languages, and this is very hard, and you need to know well languages until there appear the until there appear uh, the the translation. Anya is having a question. Yes, you are asking if Tsigan is offensive word. Yes, it is. It is offensive from the very beginning because the Tsigan, as I was already speaking about it in the history, uh, uh, it's based in the word Atinganoi, which I'm going to write here, Atinganoi. And Atinganoi was like the group of people in the Byzantine Empire, which were considered as a sect, and they were killed out. And after this, Roma people they came like to Byzantium, and Roman people were similar to them. That, for example, they were uh, like the forecasting the future from the palm. Roma people they came there, and they were also like different. They had like different costumes, language, and they were also like making this like the words which the Christianity wasn't allowing. And uh, and and Roma were labeled like them, because Rom is like really original word, how we call ourselves already, uh, even like uh, even earlier than Roma came from uh, India. Uh, when in India it is like the dome, in Caucasus, it changed into la, like lom, and in Byzantium, this la uh, was changed into the ra, and after into ra, which became Rom. And it was like natural linguistic change, and and the language like the program, like the development, and yes, and Atinganoi, like the Tsigan, is also necessary to mention that it is in every country like perceived like differently. For example, in the Czech lands, it's very pejorative because it is also connected to historical context. So, for example, in 1920s, there was a law like the which was persecuting like the nomadic gypsies. So uh, in on the towns or on on the public spaces where like the tables which with written message like enter to gypsies isn't allowed, you know, like enter to and enter of Chicans isn't allowed, and therefore for example, in Slovakia, like the word Tsigan is also offensive, but it's not as much like in the Czechia. Or for example, uh, uh, in Macedonia and in Ukraine, that like the word Tsigan is not as much offensive like in Czechia or in Germany, Tsigoina, or in, you know, I think that it is also connected to experience, like the historical experience, like the cultural, which those Roma had. But anyhow, all of the Roma groups are agreeing that like the words that like the Tsigan or Gypsy is really pejorative, but there is also some problem. For example, like in Spain or in Hungary, there are Roma people who lost their language because they were punished like the for using of Roma language. And if you lose your Roma language, because you know Rome only from Roma language, and if you use it, so you have only that Gitano like in Spanish or Tsigan in Hungarian language. You know, so this is very problematic. But most of us agree that it is pejorative, but some Roma still use it because they say we were always we were always like the Tzigans, but the problem is that they don't know their history because uh, if you go, the Roma history isn't taught at the schools, and the sources of history are still not a lot available, like for everybody. Yeah, so I'm sorry that it was like a bit long and like the answer, but I hope you didn't, Anya, get lost, and you understand my point. Is no, it's okay, it's okay, Anya. You know, it's me like Roma. I also think where is the border how to how to say. And I understand that there, you know, because for example in Poland, Czechoslovakia, former Czechoslovakia, uh, like this word Rome appeared after 1990 because the communists also didn't allow uh, Roma people like to speak about themselves like Roma. For example, in Czechoslovakia, we had like the first organization of Roma, which was like the Union of Gypsies Roma. So when there appeared the word uh, Roma, there had to be also Gypsy, you know, because uh, because like the communist policy was like to create like the proletariat, and there are no nations, but there are one nation or state of the Polish, of the Czechs and Slovaks, of the Yugoslavs, you know. So like this is really like the problem which is up to now, that Roma are ethnicized. You know, their ethnicity isn't taken into the consideration, into account. You know, so and therefore after it's very hard to like to prove after 1989 in Czechia, like the murders which are motivated from the racial hatred, you know, and like these things. Yes, Oksana, I am very glad if you appreciate it, and I know that this is really hard to understand, but you know, we have here like the topics, but we will have still time like to go through these like the things more into the into depth. Roma people I'm sorry, I will answer also this question. Roma people are calling themselves Tzigans because it was imposed on them. You know, so like sometimes it's very hard, or Roma people are having argument with me that they are saying, why I am not Tzigane? I am Tzigane. My grandma was Tzigane. My father was Tzigane. So I am not ashamed. I am the proud. But here you can see that here is like the lack of the knowledge of the history or of the context, because Roma people really hadn't in Europe the space and the power like to speak about themselves, who they really are. This moment is really coming in the beginning of the 20th century, which was marked by uh, uh, by the Second World War, and after in 1971, when he's in the Orpington in the UK and near London, like the first World Roma Congress, where Roma agreed together uh, from several countries on that they are Roma.